Hey y'all, I'm Coach V.
And I'm Queen Mac.
Welcome back to another episode of Grow with My Girls. Today's topic is all about when God says pause. Many of us do not recognize the difference between divine rest and stagnation. We're going to dive into this topic with you. So as you all know, we always ask you to send in your questions. And today we have selected from 5 women who sent their responses to this topic and asked us some really awesome questions. And of course, we'll tell you what the next topic for the next show is so that you can send in your questions and we can answer. Queen Mac.
Let's read the first questions. We have Tamara W. who says, I pray, I serve, I tithe. I do everything right. But every time I try to launch the next phase of my business, doors just close. My pastor says maybe God is saying pause, but I can't afford to pause. How do you distinguish a divine hold from just bad timing or my own fear? That is I have definitely started things and paused and questioned, is it God telling me to pause or is just me right now not doing the work that I know God has called me to do?
You said something at the end here, Tamara. You said, how do I know the difference between a divine hold, bad timing, or my own fear? The weight that you're carrying, is it exhausting you? Is it stressing you out? Is it depressing you? Is it chaotic and confusing? Because chaos and confusion is not of God. That is word. Feelings are temporary, but if it's weighty and it's dragging out, step back, pause, and reflect on where God really wants you to be.
It makes me think about my dissertation process. There was a time I really wanted it to get done. I've done all the coursework. I just need to finish the dissertation. It's been over 10 years where I've started and haven't completed it. But this past year, I'm like, Alicia, let's sit down and make sure this is really what we want to do. Because I think sometimes, especially when we're feeling like a struggle or things that are a lot, we have to ask ourselves, are we doing this because this is what we really want to do? Or because others are wanting us to do it? Or just because we started it? For me, that is definitely this season of rest that God has me in. Put down this business, put down the dissertation, and really evaluate what you are going to do right now.
The fact that you were saying that you pray, you serve, you tithe. We had a woman last session who said the same thing. I pray, I serve, I tithe, and I try to do everything right. That's the part 2. You're trying to do everything right, to be human. Understand that we are imperfect people, that when God says we are perfect as He is perfect, we are evolving, we are ever changing. God is building up on our character and who we are becoming, trying to do everything right, people pleasing. And I'm wondering if that's playing a part, if it comes from somewhere in the past, some type of trauma where you feel like you have to be the one that does the thing right. I remember a time when Queen Mac had to get on me because I had a real bad spirit of perfectionism. And I would always beat myself up so bad when I was missing the mark. And she had to remind me that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human. I'm going to miss the mark. We all have. And that I didn't have to be perfect without flaw. I had to let God be God and work out these kinks and these things that I was so afraid to let crumble and let fall. A part of it could be your fear too, because you're afraid to drop the ball on people. You said every time that you try to launch the next phase of your business, doors close. Rejection is God's protection. So those doors could be closing to save you before you pick up something that you're not going to do well at because you're going to be too stretched thin and again trying to do everything right.
The other thing that I think about is when she says she can't afford to pause. And it just makes me think, like, what is really driving it? What is the intent behind it? Because one, if we're doing it for people, just trying to make money, these could be the reasons why things aren't moving at the pace that you believe they should be moving.
Yeah.
That stood out to me. It just made me
Me too.
wonder.
I was thinking, like, is it money? Is it reputation? Is it a relationship that you're trying to sustain? I heard you mention your pastor. I'm wondering if that relationship plays a part too. Sometimes we want to prove to our leaders that we are capable. We will take on task, the stamp of approval that you're seeking. That's why this question has come up. You are afraid of disappointing them, Tamara.
I want to read Psalms 46 and 10. It says, be still and know that I am God. It's in our stillness where we get to hear him. Maybe you're doing too much and can't hear. That's why it requires the pastors to speak to you. Sit, fast. Anytime I feel like, Lord, I'm lost and I need you to guide me, I'm like, all right, Alicia, it's time to fast. Be still and listen for God's guidance.
I agree. We done been right where you are. We had to get somewhere and sit down once upon a time in our life. I tell you what, if you write it down, you'll definitely be able to know if it's God holding you back or if it is just your own fear of ruining your reputation to others and how they see you. But what matters more than anything is how God sees you. What you do with the little things, you'll do with much. I really like Denise H's. So she says, my kids are grown. I'm retired, and for the first time, nobody really needs me. I thought I'd feel free, but I feel purposeless. I've been waiting on God for 2 years for my next assignment.
What if I'm not in divine pause?
But what if I'm just comfortable in calling it faith?
It's interesting because I feel like we would have two different perspectives on this question. Not retired yet, will definitely be soon in the name of Jesus, and traveling. My kids are grown. I became a mother at 20. When my kids began to leave the nest, my last one, 19, she went to college. I was excited because for 21 years, I have been serving children, and not that it has stopped, but one of the things that I will say in that 20 years, I've also developed an identity for myself. It wasn't just about the kids. There are women, when it's about the kids, it's about the kids. And they don't identify ways to make sure they still also have a life. Or when they're wives, they're just wives. And so I will say for those who aren't there yet, maybe they're like you, similarly about to be in this space. How are you making sure you're finding identity outside of your role as mother, as wife, in order to ensure that when those things, when husband is busy or the kids are gone, you still have things that you're doing, you still feel valuable. You're not serving anymore in that capacity. Something else should definitely be in place.
That's good. You just answered my question for me. My kids are growing up. I've mentioned this on a couple of other episodes. My son is almost out of the house. We're so used to being consumed with football, this, football, that. And I'm having to sit back and say, what does life look like beyond this? Granted, I have another child who's going to keep me pretty busy. But I'm also thinking about what happens when dance stops, track stops, and all of these things now go to the collegiate level where we can make it if we can. If we can't, then we can't. And they're off living their own lives. What is that going to look like for me? Because I have attached a lot of my identity to raising my children. But you know what, Denise? I'm also realizing the more I spend time in God dealing with that thought process, that maybe I put so much time into my children because I was covering up where I felt inadequate. I don't know if you're a single mother, you're married, feeling single, you're married, and just found solace in being a mother. But I do know that sometimes we can cover up lack of reciprocity, not having the companionship that we desire with our children because they're easy to shape, to pour into. They call our names, and yeah, for that slight moment, we get a bout of irritation. What again? But you feel fulfilled taking care of whatever the need is because it feels like a necessary stress. And now that you're retired and the kids are grown, you don't have that necessary stress. You're trying to figure out what to do. Some people might call you crazy because they're like, well, do you want this stress back? Are you not happy to feel freedom? But I get it. You filled your life with doing things with the children. God's waiting on you. You're not waiting on God.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, step out into something, sit down and make a list. What would you have been doing if you hadn't had children? What's in your heart? What are you passionate about? Start those things. There are other kids, if that is definitely something you love doing, that love to have access to you
Lots of
from fostering. Sometimes we are waiting on God to say, okay, tell me this very thing. What is that very next step? When Jeremiah 29:11 says the plans he has for us are good. And so I have to trust that when I step out on faith and start any initiative, that God will begin to bless it, that God will open doors. And so I think for me, that is what I look for. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, Lord. Guide me if it's not for me. Open the doors if it is. Out on faith.
Just take the first step. What is it? Queen Mac said, if there's a business, a hobby, something that you just like to do, traveling, starting your own organization to help children, God is waiting on you to take that next step so that He can, by your faith, turn it into something great.
Yep. James 2:17, faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead.
We can get comfortable calling our complacency faith. It's easy to do. I did it for a minute. He said a million ideas before me, gave me 100 books, and I was still up here talking about, well, I'm waiting on God when He says it's the right time to do it. Get to producing, get to doing, then God's going to show you that He endorses whatever you're doing by what He puts on your path next and who He sends your way.
We are waiting for the right moment or the right time, and then that keeps us not moving. And you spoke about perfection before, and I know I've struggled with it, and not even knowing it was perfection, but waiting for the right moment and the right time to do the thing. And you end up looking up and 10 years have passed by. And so it's no, like I'm gonna step out on faith, believing that I am favored by God and also graced by God. So He's going to do the rest.
Ecclesiastes 11:4. I'm reading from the NLT, and it says, farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. We sit here and we wait on perfect conditions, and those perfect conditions never come. So then we never get anything done. Maybe waiting on your children to become grown and retire was a perfect condition. And then when it showed up, there was still some missing components and you still felt like it wasn't perfect. I want to urge you, both Queen Mac and I, to say, get up and get at it. Children are not going to be little ever again. They're grown. And I don't know about you, but if I was retired, I ain't going back. I'm not going back. I find something else to work on, but I'm not going back to what I retired from.
I like this one, Regina B. She says, I burned out so badly from ministry that I stepped back from everything: leadership, volunteering, even Sunday service. People said I needed rest, and I agreed, but it's been 18 months and I still don't want to go back. I'm scared that what started as a necessary pause has quietly turned into me walking away from God entirely. Do you know when rest has become retreat? I shared on our prayer line, I believe it was a week or two ago, the enemy will have us retreating, leaving all of the things. He is like a prowling lion seeking who he may devour. And anytime I quote that scripture, I think about the National Geographics, where there's the gazelle or the zebra by itself and the lion waiting for that animal to be by itself so it can attack. Because when there's a bunch of them around or a group of them, he won't attack. And so it's in our retreat that the enemy really has its work. And I was honest. I said, even like in the past 3 weeks, I was like, listen, I'm done. I'm ready to take a break. And I said I was ready to take a break, but deep down, I knew that break wasn't because I needed to rest. It was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do any of these things right now. We get to that point. And a part of it is because we're doing so many things that one, we shouldn't be doing. We're probably not delegating, or we're in spaces God didn't call us to be in. And then the biggest one is probably also disobedience. And I know for me, that is definitely part of it. God has told me to stop, to move, to leave, close doors, and I did it. As a result, I'm feeling the impact. So now I want to retreat. I want to run. I want to leave. Check the source. If you're pulling away from God entirely, we know it's not godly.
Check your friend group. Check your spouse. Check how work is going. Because a lot of times when you're wanting to pull away from things, something has happened in your life and in your heart that might have broke it, that made you say, I want to pull back. And sometimes in ministry, because I'm going to go back to your question, Regina, you said, I burnt out so badly in ministry that I stepped back from leadership, volunteering, and even Sunday service. I feel like there's some church hurt there. You said I burned out so badly. And when I saw that, I immediately thought about the fact that when we're trying to manage a bunch of personalities and manage impressions, that's called dramaturgy. It really takes a lot out of us. One, I'm in the house of the Lord. I'm trying to be holy, but y'all are kind of pushing me to the edge. My ideals are not getting heard, or you're upset because your ideals are not getting heard, and we're not implementing strategies that are really working for people. Everybody's depending on me to do and implement all of the strategies. Those things, they hurt and they stretch and they pull. And the harvest is plenty and the workmen are few, but there are still workmen. Where are you?
Sometimes we put ourselves in these positions where, okay, I'll do that. I'll help with this. I can do it. Even in my past, when I got burned out on helping, I would go to large ministries and just to sit in the pew because I'm like, I don't want to do nothing else. I don't want to. And again, reflecting back on those are times I usually was also running from God. Makes me think about something personally. And this person was like, I'm tired. I don't know who I am. As a result, I want to cut you out of my life. When we're in positions where one, we don't know our identity, that causes us to make decisions that in the long run don't benefit us. But it also causes you to try to fight or even seek identity in other places. And so this person, again, I feel like made bad decisions based on a lack of identity and got rid of things that was close to them. And so making sure we know who we are allows us to make sure the people, the places, the things we're engaged in are aligned to what God has for us. If you don't know who you are, you're going to find yourself trying to prove yourself in a ministry or a marriage or a job.
Pray, go before God, align yourself first, because also you said it's been 18 months and you still don't want to go back. That sounds like a person when they take leave from a position and that position has been heavy and it has been burdensome and they've been doing all the work and trying to make the team look good and they feel overlooked, undervalued, underappreciated, and they finally step away from it. They don't want to go back to the abuse. Maybe somebody abused your kindness. There are some dynamics where you gave it your all and you didn't feel seen. And so now, 18 months later, you feel free. You feel less of a burden. You don't want to go back to that place. But I know you'll go somewhere. If you weren't desiring to return back to a place where you know the Spirit of the Lord abides, there's work to be done, you wouldn't be asking this question. You want to get back. I'll challenge you. You haven't walked away from God. You walked away from the circumstance that was unfavorable mentally, physically, and spiritually. You want to come back, not necessarily back to the same place. You want a place where everybody's doing their part.
And I would just say boundaries. So you don't end up burnt out. I always say I'm not sacrificing myself for anyone or anything.
Jesus
And so,
already did that. He has left the remnant of the Holy Spirit. He did not ask us to hang on the cross again, to conquer death and sin, or to be resurrected from the grave. He asked us to walk in his likeness. I think these have all been some pretty amazing questions. We normally only get to answer 3. We have time for one more. What do you think?
I was thinking that too.
How about Jasmine L? Want to rehearse?
I put my career goals on hold because I felt God telling me to be still. But now I'm watching my friends advance and I'm second guessing everything. My mom keeps saying I'm wasting time. And honestly, I'm starting to wonder if she's right. Does a divine pause have an expiration date? And how do you hold on to it when people around you don't understand?
So I did the same thing here just recent. I work in real estate and I just decided that realtor is not my identity. It's not my title. Although I've had great success in it, closed a lot of sales, served a lot of people, there was just something in me that felt truly unfulfilled. I was even getting awards, and I'm ashamed to say, no, I'm not. I didn't show up to pick up the award. I just decided for myself that what good are the accolades? I remember calling Queen Mac one day and just saying, all I want is the Lord, his purpose for me, where he's guiding and directing me to be. I don't want to cut off my nose and spite my face, like the elders said, but I also want to make sure that I'm aligned with God. This day and age, nothing else and no other voice matters to me than the voice of God. Queen Mac and I learned a long time ago to hold to your plans very loosely,
Yeah.
to be flexible, and to allow God to direct our paths. because we don't know what he truly has for us. The fact that you felt God telling you to be still, don't you get sidetracked by watching your friends advance. That's their path for them.
Yeah.
At the twinkle of an eye, everything can change for you. Don't let anything, social media, time, get you off course, because hopefully in that being still, you're still penning your journey. You're still writing down what you hear God saying until the time comes.
There are parts of us that believe that this journey should be easy. Get into the place where, one, we're being used by God and we're being blessed financially, and our ministries, our businesses are doing the things that we want them to do. But when I think about Joseph, who ended up not only saving the life of his family, but others in Egypt, he went through the struggle. In between, God was still using him in different places, from the pit to the palace. Anytime that I'm like, God, what is happening? What is going on? I always think about Joseph. I'm like, God didn't say this road was going to be easy. He actually said, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but he will deliver us from them all. Similar to you, Coach V, I think even now, like, I've been in education 22 years. I've been a leadership coach for 10 years. I'm at this space like, okay, God, I'm ready for something else. I made some decent money. I want to be in my purpose, or even if the money isn't here, as long as all the bills are paid and the kids are good, like, that's fine with me. Money is no longer my motivator. It used to be, which is one of the reasons why I even paused my business. But it's like, okay, God, I'm already being used by you. I want to continue to be used by you, but I want to make sure I also have time to rest, to do this work and enjoy it. Because I've also gotten to the point, even in ministry, where I'm just doing it and I'm not enjoying it. There's no joy,
You're on
which is,
autopilot and you're
I'm
doing
on
chores.
autopilot.
You're doing chores.
Yeah.
And it's serving from a cup that is becoming depleted versus serving from a full cup. When
Yeah.
we serving God, everything under the sun can be going on. But when you're serving from a full cup, you are
Yeah.
remembering his word, you're holding fast to his promises, you are just knowing that God is going to show up at some point in time. Now, don't get it twisted. The word of God does say deferred hope makes the heart sick, but you're committing it over to God. You're trusting him that even if you feel heartbroken, even if you feel sad, even if you feel like this isn't moving as fast as I wanted to move, that God, you got it covered because you're where God has you. So you know that it has to work together for your good. That's Romans 8:28.
Yeah.
All things work
And,
together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose.
and I have to remind myself of that, because another thing that happens, I get in the way of what God is doing because naturally I don't understand it. Not ignoring the fact that God doesn't just work in the natural, he works in the supernatural, he works in the spiritual. But I always get in the way. I'm like, okay, God, I don't understand this. God, I'm trying to make sense of this. And so now I'm just like, listen, I'm just going to keep doing, I'm going to let you just pull me, convict me. Because your word says, if I get out of line, you're going to pull me back anyway.
And God can be just developing you. Film is developed in a dark room. One of my favorite analogies too is bamboo grows for several years underground. And all of a sudden, when it buds above ground, it will spend the next 5 to 10 years shooting up fast.
It don't take long at all. If you Google bamboo on TikTok, oh my gosh, like it is predatory in some cases. It just won't stop. So that's good, but it does take years to grow underground. But after that, oh, it flows.
Great job to your friends, but you don't even know what your friends battle with once they cross that stage and get that degree. They might be feeling the same way you're feeling, like, oh, okay, I got my degree now, but is this what I really want to do? And I've seen a lot of people struggle and go through school for many years, and then they get all the way to the finish line and go, I don't even think I want to do this anymore. Stay tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, but keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. He's the one that's ordering your steps, directing your path, guiding you, taking you where you need to go. Go back to the reason that you believe that God said sit still. Because if you put your career on hold, you felt God leading you to sit still, then what was the other thing? Because whatever that other thing was, You haven't done it. It might feel out of reach. Don't have everything together in order to do that other thing. We'll be like, God told me to sit still. Meanwhile, God's saying, start that class. And we're up here like, well, I don't know if I have the support, or my audience isn't this or that. It'll take all eternity to know his nature. But if he tells you to do something, a lot of times he already has a plan.
Yeah. It made me think about Mary and Martha. It was Mary who was sitting at the feet of Jesus, and Martha was like, I'm trying to serve and do all this. And Jesus was like, you need to sit down too. That is the space I'm in now, which is beautiful, because even in this space, God is sustaining me. Even in this space, God is making provisions, and not just provisions monetarily, but provisions for me to rest, provisions for me while I still go through. So God is so good, where it's like, yes, sit down, because it's not just rest that you're getting. It's pruning, it's changing, because where he's taking me, I can't continue to be who I was. He has to remove some of those things, because I have to be a better steward in many areas. And so just see it as a pruning place. I like the dark room analogy. I like the bamboo analogy.
Mary was at the best place she could be in. She was sitting with the one that was going to save her life, who was going to die for the remission of her sins, who knew everything there was to know about her and knew what he had in store for her. And she's sitting here just listening to him and gleaming from him. And Martha's about to miss her opportunity because Martha is busy. Martha is moving around. She's trying to prepare a house for somebody that's already in it. It is nothing worse than when somebody shows up to your house and you're trying to clean up while they're there. They already walked in. They already seen it. Just get the meeting out of the way. So here's Jesus. Mary has chosen the best seat in the house, and you need to be choosing this seat too. He always has something better, a better position for us.
That part.
So for you, your position may be, Jasmine, sitting at the feet of Jesus, figuring out what you need to hear from him and know from him and learn from him in order to be sustained in this, or your calling may be higher than your current career that you had to put on hold. So now it's time to step out. You ever get that call, Queen Mac, when God is like, I want you to sit with me, spend some time with me, study with me, and he told you to be still for that purpose, but you just be still. Like, you ever fasted and the fast didn't have a point to it? You ain't feeling that fast with nothing. Ain't opened up the Bible, ain't got in your word, ain't worshiped. Like, Jasmine, the Lord wants you to worship. Get back in your word. He wants you to root yourself there with him. You already know what he wants you to do. It's just uncomfortable. It's stretching you. If we got it wrong, y'all can always comment.
And get in the word for yourself. Don't use our interpretation. Get in there for yourself.
So, Queen Mac,
what I want to say is this. Throughout all of the questions, I thought about identity. I have sat with God at 20 and said, God, who am I? I've sat with God at 28, almost 30, and said, God, who am I? Now in this season at 40 something, saying, God, who am I? Don't be afraid to sit and ask yourself, who are you in God in this season? Because who I was at 20 and who I was at 30 is not who I am now. And who he's creating me to be in this season of rest is going to prepare me for where I'm going.
Don't be afraid to evolve and be reinvented. You can be a new creation every single day. Paul, who says, I press toward the mark of the higher calling. Behold, the old things are behind me. The new things are ahead of me. This is your opportunity to grab onto new life every chance that you get. You do not have to sit and burn out. I think about the fleas in the jar analogy. If you ever get a chance, look it up real quick because I'm in my 60 seconds. These fleas are in this jar and the lid is off. They are mentally trained to stay stuck inside of this jar. Don't be the flea in the jar. You've got the advantage to jump out of your situation at any given time and trust God. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Grow with My Girls. The next topic is, so that you all can start sending in your questions to us. Doubt don't live here anymore.
Period.
So send us your questions so we can answer those. Amen.
Bye, y'all.